Good afternoon everyone, and welcome to today's video. So what we are doing today, we're going to go ahead and pretty much do some track prep on the GT500 here. So if this is your first time to the channel, I highly suggest you go watch some other videos. I have a full mod list and a couple other things going on with this. Anyway, what we're going to go ahead and do is go faster with this. Well, let me go explain. So pretty much what I got going on here is we need to get a couple of different things done. So my last time out, we identified a couple things we need to fix. First up, I need to get the cooling under control. So the way the supercharger system works on this car is this is the engine coolant and this is the supercharger coolant system. And as you can see, it's got a little hose right here, a little drain, and then an inlet on this side, and it runs up over on here. And that runs into the intercooler, which sits underneath this manifold underneath the old supercharger here. And pretty much what's going on is it has a very small circulation. It goes from this tank down in here, down there. There's a heat exchanger that sits in here, AFCO dual fan heat exchanger. You see the pump right in there. And all this does is it circulates coolant through the intercooler, back around, and it's a nice little loop. So right now what we got going on, this is a small engine mount ice tank, and I really need to get this thing tightened up a little bit. Not tightened up, but it's got a little corrosion going on. I need to get loosened. All right, so we got it opened up. Yeah, I think it's starting to catch a little bit on this edge. So anyway, as you can see, obviously it's stuff full of coolant, and this is our little thing right here. I did not tighten that. Apparently it's been dripping just a little bit. Whatever. Anyway, so what we're gonna do, this is the drain. And pretty much what we need to do is purge this system of coolant so we don't kill all the animals when we go to the track and have to throw ice in here and drain out the excess that builds up and fill it up with water. Now, quick note of warning, if any of you do this, make sure you put coolant back in it before you hit freezing temps, because you will break things. This stuff does not freeze when normal water freezes. That's the whole point of having the coolant in here. It will pop things like your heat exchanger or something more catastrophic, which would not be good. So as you can see, this is it. What we're going to go ahead and do real quick, I'm going to show you guys. So I discovered since we last talked, this is the this right here is the relay for the intercooler pump. And obviously the engine's off, the key is off, and all we got to do very simply is just jump it. Pop a little guy in there. Doesn't take much. Heat exchanger fans. We've got coolant flow. So this is going to drain the crap out of my battery very fast. So want to make sure we don't do that. My plan for this eventually is to get a jump box. For now, probably just going to have a jumper cable going to the truck right there, which has 2 batteries. It should be fine to run this for a little bit. And all we're going to go ahead and do is disconnect this tube right here. So we're going to drain out as much as we can out of here, disconnect that tube, continually drain the rest out at the bottom, and I'm going to have a hose hooked up that I'm probably going to run out here, I think, and that'll make sure none of the belts or anything like that gets covered in coolant and doesn't just go everywhere. And then we're just going to slowly purge this of coolant and get some nice water in here. So I have some distilled ice. Is not going to be distilled. It'll eventually kind of get mixed in with whatever, but I figure we'll start off strong and go with some nice clean store-bought distilled water. So without further ado, that is the plan, guys, and that's what we're going to go do. Went ahead and got our little drain hose in there. I'm just using a hose clamp. This is literally not pressurized, just drain whenever this comes up. Sticking out right here. My plan is to secure it. It looks like there's a couple of holes right on the back side of this lip. It's probably just going to secure it right there just to keep everything out of the way. For right now, I need a little extra to hang out so I can drain this. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is start draining this whole thing out and start putting water in it. Okay, so I can definitely see why an ice tank is beneficial. If nothing else, for volume. This system is less than 2 gallons, probably 1.5 gallons total, which really is not much water to displace heat. So what we're gonna go ahead and do now, I gotta trim this hose up real quick, and in the meantime, we're gonna go ahead and start the car and basically induce heat soak, which is super easy. All I gotta do is shut the hood and it will heat soak in probably a good, like, maybe 5 minutes or less. It'll start getting up in temp. We'll see what happens. But basically, I'm just gonna let it eat itself so it gets kind of warm. Basically, we're gonna try and get to about that 140-ish intake air temp that we were seeing at the track, which shouldn't take too long. And while that's going on, I'm probably gonna go ahead and adjust the two-step, get that set up to about 3,500 RPM, and by then we should be at full heat, if that makes sense. Then what we're gonna go ahead and do is grab some ice and test it out and see how much we can drop temps. So I'm able to monitor temps inside, so I'll take you guys in there, and it should be a good time. We'll watch them drop together. Alrighty, right here is where we're gonna monitor the temps. Whenever it comes online. So right there, you can see IAT2 is the one we want to pay attention to. We're already at 100 degrees. Water came out of the truck. It was pretty warm, so pretty wild. It's already that hot. So I'm gonna go ahead and let it circulate, and it probably will cool down a little bit. We'll shut the hood and just let it kind of soak in there for a little bit. We'll come back in a minute. So for those of you wondering about the N2NB walk box I got, it's right in there, as you can see. So all we got to do is turn the car to the run position, and that should get us working. Oh, that's gonna drive me nuts. Oh, never mind. All right, so let me go ahead and show you what's going on in here. Sorry about the glare. All right, sweet. So we got it hooked up to the watt box, and now all we need to do is adjust a couple things. So let's see now. What I want to do is adjust our, so just so you guys are aware how I have mine set up. So no lift shift set to auto, and pretty much what you can do is you can either time it for a certain amount of milliseconds, or auto will just read whether the clutch is up or down. And because I want mine to shift to cut when I push the clutch down and re-pick up when I pick it up, I have it set to auto. It's the best way I found to do it. If you try to time it yourself, you can mess it up and it'll re-engage at weird times, so I don't like that. My launch RPM is set to 2,700 RPM, so what we're gonna go ahead and do is set that to, let's try, yeah, we'll do 3,500 RPM. So that's set now. And other than that, really don't need to mess with anything. The rev limiter on here is allegedly set to 660. That's a lie. It doesn't actually do anything for whatever reason. That's fine though. So all we do now is right. And we're done. Easy enough. Over on the front side over here, no more tubes sticking out. I went ahead and got it hemmed up real nicely right there. So that should hold just fine. I think the best way to build heat in this thing, in all honesty, is we're gonna go ahead and take it out for a spin. I'm not gonna film that. And then when we get back, we'll go ahead and hopefully it'll be nice and warm. Believe it or not, it's actually a pretty nice day out, which is really irritating because I'm trying to get this thing to overheat. Not overheat, but get the supercharger system hot, and it's really not doing it. Car is up to operating temp. I really want to hear what this new watt box setting sounds like. So we're about to scare the crap out of some people, but it'll be all right. So IAT2s are hanging out about 120 right now, 118 is what it is. So let's go ahead and check this thing out real quick. Well, god dang, that is significantly more angry. Alright, so I went ahead and got everything set up. As you can see, our GoPro tracking temperature. It's about 123. It's a little warm. We got some ice, so I'm gonna go show you what we're gonna do for setup. First up, got to kill the car, and we're gonna make this work. It's more than likely this is the setup we're gonna run at the track when we get to it. Let's go ahead and turn on our pumps, and then monitoring the temperature inside. See what happens here. All right. So that by itself should help out. We got our bucket of ice right here. Go ahead and just start letting her eat. All right, snoo plant. We're gonna drain this down. And then once she's down, we'll go ahead and that's when we'll go ahead and fill it up with ice, I think. All right, so we got it pretty low, as you can see. Now time to stuff her up. So I'm gonna get back to you guys in a sec. This does. All right, there we go. See what our temps look like over on the inside. I totally forgot that it doesn't matter what the heck the pump water temperature is if the engine's not running, because there's no air passing through it. And it measures air temperature, not water temp. But definitely pretty chilly in the icebox. So let's go ahead and check this out. As you can see, 120, 24. See what it comes down to pretty decently. Well, honestly, not as much as I thought it was going to. That's interesting. Seems to be settling out around 113 a little bit. Check out the engine bay and see what she says. So water's definitely still cool, which is good. So I guess we're just gonna have the lowest we can probably get this. I mean, that's not cold, but definitely cool. I guess that lower 112 temp is about how it's gonna go. But it still has to travel through the supercharger, which is pretty hot. The rotors and all that still get compressed, so that is very interesting, in all honesty. I'm gonna go for a little ride and see if it doesn't cool down a little bit. I'm very curious about this. All right, so we're cruising, and temps are hanging out 108, which is definitely well under the pull timing range, which is sweet. 120 is about that range. However, I'm honestly a little surprised. I thought the ice was gonna cool it down a lot more than it did. So I'm gonna get very curious to see how this works out at the track. I went through probably a good almost gallon and a half of ice. Well, that can't be right if it's a gallon and a half system, but you know what I mean. Good amount of ice, and did not seem to cool it off that much. So I guess we're just gonna have to find out what happens when we get to the track with this. So back from our little drive, water is, it's pretty warm, but it's not terrible. So I don't know, I thought that was very interesting how it didn't actually chill it down anywhere near to what the water temperature was. Very weird. I didn't know that was going to be a thing. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense, but I kind of just assumed if water temp is freezing, then everything else will be freezing. But maybe that's what they're talking about when they talk about heat soak. It is what it is, guys. So we're only one way to find out. I'm hoping to get this to the track pretty soon here, and we're just going to be running ice the whole time. Hopefully get everything cool and see what happens. Well, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Definitely just kind of getting some prep together for the track next time around. I do think I'm due for a new battery pretty soon. I've been getting a battery light for a long time now, and it's definitely, even when the charging system light is working properly and there's no check charge, voltage is reading good. I really think the battery is just, I think it's on its way out. So as you saw, even running the pumps for a few minutes, well jumped when I tried to start it up again. Very, very slow to start, so we'll charge it up before the track, but yeah, I think that's what's going on with that. Other than that, as I was saying, pretty surprised about the ice tank. Hopefully it works out at the track, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. So enjoy, and I'll see you in the next video.